And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Howdy folks, today we're going to be taking a look at Ascension Realms Unraveled. Now, Ascension is a deck building game from Stoneblade Games. This is, I believe, the 6th expansion for it. However, this is also a standalone game. Now, if you want to and you've never heard of Ascension before, then I recommend you go back and look at my first Ascension review and to see how the game is played. I might have even done another review. Here I'm going to just look at this as an expansion because I would imagine that's what many people are doing at this point. Although to be clear, this is a fine, fully functioning game by itself. And I would recommend this. This is not even a bad one to start off with to get into the series. But like I said, we're going to take a look at the cards in this one as if we were adding them to the other set, or just if you already know how to play Ascension, how does this game work? So the game comes with a board, and it comes with brand new cards so that you can play the complete game. And if you're like me and have been collecting all the different Ascensions, you have now way too many of these. But there's enough here to play a complete game. There's a spot here on the board for Cultist. I'll still never figure out why they don't just print that on the board. And then there's new Mystic, new Heavy Infantry cards, and new Apprentice and Militia cards. And I was really appreciative that they made the corners of these cards white bordered. I don't know. They just have a very clean-cut feel, and they also scream, I'm a worthless card. Get me out of your deck, which you should try to do if possible. Anyhow, like I said, I'm not going to be going over the rules for Ascension. We're just going to take a look here at some of the new cards. We're not going to go over every new card, but we're just going to look at some of the interesting ones and some of the new concepts that are included in Realms Unraveled. Here we have a Lifebound hero that gives you a point, lets you draw a card, and if you have more points than anyone else, draw an extra card. That's interesting. It doesn't happen very often, especially if you're playing a multiplayer game. And then, of course, the game comes with more Mechana constructs. Here, every turn you get, when you acquire a Mechana card, you get 2 fighting. Whenever you get one, you can put it in your hand. When you acquire one, you get points equal to that card's point value. You get 1 point every time you acquire one. You get 2 cards. So, again, just like the other Ascension games, you can make some combos. And when you mix these with the ones that are already in the game, you can make some really mega cool combos in this game. Now, one of the new features here from Realms Unraveled, and it's probably the themes of Realms Unraveled, is that you have dual heroes. See, this one here is an Enlightened Lifebound, and this one is an Enlightened Mechana hero. And so that's really interesting. They're very useful. You got to look beyond the ability because for unite purposes, these can unite with different ones, and it adds some really cool things. Here we have a Lifebound Void hero, and a Lifebound Mechana hero, and a Mechana Void hero. And they kind of do, this one gives you 2, and if you have 2 or more constructs, you can banish a card. 3 points, and you can banish a card in your discard pile. Now, I talked about Unite. This has another new concept here, but a very simple one, and that's called Multi-Unite. What this means is, this one gives you 2 points, and if you have another Lifebound hero, you get 1 point. But since it's Multi-Unite, you can use it as many times as possible. So let's say I played 3 Lifebound heroes this turn, including this one. I'd get 2 and then 1 each for the other 2. This one here, I get 2 attack plus 1 for each other Void character. Here's a Multi-Unite Mechana hero who gets extra money for each of the other Mechana heroes you play. Or this one here, banish a card from your hand. And if you do acquire a hero with the value, you can basically upgrade your cards, and you can do this multiple times. This card itself is a really neat card at really upgrading your deck quickly. And then here's another one here. Reveal the top card. And defeat it without paying its cost. This is a very expensive one here, but very powerful. And the fact that you can do it multiple times if you play multiple Enlightened lets you make a really cool Enlightened combo. And there's not a whole lot of Enlightened combos. Or another powerful one here. Take a hero without paying its cost. And then you can do it multiple times if you played more Lightbound stuff. There's also this card here, which says draw a card, and the next Mystic or Heavy Infantry counts as a faction of your choice, which is really useful for these multi-unites. But it's also really useful for the transform effect. Now, the transform effect this is not the first Ascension set that this is in. The last expansion had this transformation thing too. And this set includes 2 different kinds of cards for transformation. Basically, they have a way to take a card, and transform it to a better side. Now, these are double-sided cards. These are for people who use sleeves. You just take the card out, flip it over, and use it in the sleeve. But they also have a set of cards that you just can shuffle in a deck that aren't double-sided, and then you set another set aside, and when you transform, you just put in the appropriate card. So like, for example, this guy here. If you play another Enlightened Hero this turn, transform into the Skan of Ozaya, he can defeat a monster that's 3 or less, okay? But once you transform him, he can defeat a monster that's 5 or less. Also, his victory points go from 1 to 2. All these disciples can change to Skans, like this one. Take a money and a fighting. You flip it over, take 2 money and 2 fighting. This one here gives you a fighting, and you can banish a card in your discard pile. Here you get 3 and banish a card. This one gives you 1 money and 1 point, 2 money and 2 points. There's also constructs which can transform. In fact, these are even more interesting because these constructs, until they transform, are really worthless in this regard. Like this one here, it's worth 3 points but doesn't do anything. But once it transforms, every turn it gives you 2 points. This one here, again, it's worthless, but once you transform it, it gives you 2 fighting. The thing is, to transform these, you need to play 2 or more Mecha heroes, or whatever it is. You know, for the Enlightened one, you need to play 2 or more Enlightened heroes, and you flip them. Every turn you get an extra card. Every turn you get $2. And then there's some monsters that when you beat the monster, you simply transform it into a hero, like this mercenary starts working for you now. Or this giant monster here, once you beat the snot out of him, I really like him. He's all factions, and he gives you 1 money, 1 attack, and 1 point, draw a card, and he has multi-unite, and works with all the different heroes. He's a really cool card. When he shows up, you want to kill that one. Then there's some big, powerful guys who can transform. This guy already gives you 3 money, which is a good thing, but if you get 3 points or more in a turn, now he gives you 3 money, and you can spend money as if it was fighting. This guy here gives you 3 money. And if you get 2 or more constructs, you transfer him over. And then he starts giving you 4 money. And when you get constructs, you can put them right into play. This Void hero, it has 4 attack. Already powerful enough, but if there's 8 or more monsters in the Void, he transforms into a 5 attack, and he can fight monsters in the Void. My second favorite card in the game. My favorite card in the game, though, is this dude here. Ver, the Ascetic Master. You have to play a hero of every faction, but that's very possible with the multi-factions. And then you can take a hero from the center row without paying its cost. Okay, great. And put it into your hand. However, once he's transformed, he can take every hero in the middle without paying their cost and put them in their hands. I'm sorry. That's just evil laugh worthy. Well, for those keeping track, it's like a brick now, but I still managed to get everything into 1 box. But it's close. It's very close. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that this works fine as a standalone set, and in fact, it works really well as a standalone set. I know that Stoneblade has always pushed that there's kind of like these, they don't really say it, but I feel like they say that in a sense that there's arcs. You play the first Ascension, and then you add the first couple expansions to that one. Then you take the second big expansion and add some to that one, and they're not really supposed to mix them up. I do, and we have a pile that's like this high now, and it's harder to do combos, and some things don't work as well, like events. I really wish they would release some more events. The transformation stuff works fine in that regard. The multi-unite, this one works well mixed with everything else, but it also works really well on its own. In fact, that's how we've played our first several games. We're just playing it by ourselves. I did manage to sneak everything into one big pile because I just like it that way. But I love the transformation effect. I do. Like I said, this isn't the first time. It was the last set here was Darkness Unleashed. That had the transformation effect. That was cool, but that was a small expansion, a small box of a game. This one adds even more. And to me, it's neat because it gives you like a goal. Okay, I'm going to try to do that to transform it because then it's going to rock. The new monsters are decent monsters. They're nothing to write home about. They're basic monsters that you fight against, but the having all these new cool double heroes, multi-unite, and it's not like really complicated stuff, but every time I get these new Mechana cards, I'm like, how can I combine them with the other ones to make these really big, cool combinations? In fact, one time, Melanie and I, we felt like the games were ending too fast for us, so we changed the number of points to a very high amount because we wanted to see how big of combinations we get on the table. And the answer is quite big. The game is fun. It's a lot more fun. The artwork it's still not the best artwork in the world. I guess some people like this artwork, and it doesn't grate on me as much as it used to. But I don't care because I had so much fun playing the game. The basic tenets of Ascension are not being changed. They're not adding all these new things. They add a few minor things. Multi-unite, that's easy. Just unite multiple times. The double heroes, that's a great idea. Very simple, easy to implement. The transformation, that's really a cool idea. And I love it, and it's simple. You flip the card over if you're using sleeves, or if you're an unsleever like me, just pull them from a separate pile. But easy to keep separate and have fun with. I like this one a lot. Is it my favorite expansion so far? It might be. It might be. The energy stuff was cool, but it kind of slogged the game down a little bit. The energy was neat, and I liked it. I don't know. This might be my favorite. It's certainly a good one. If you like Ascension, get it. And if you never played Ascension before, it's still not a bad one to try out for the first time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!